Le plaisir simple de s'amuser et de faire les fous. Il n'y a pas que les chats et les chiens qui adorent ça. De nombreux autres animaux sont très joueurs.
When you start to consider weird sorts of behavior exhibited by lots of kinds of animals, you suddenly realize that things like play occur all over the animal kingdom.
Et les compagnons de jeu peuvent être très variés. L'homme peut en être un, bien sûr.
There is something in our deeply rooted nature that is able to communicate with a whole range of life on this planet.
Le jeu est dans notre nature.
As the most adaptive species in the world, we play, and we play more than any other species if we allow ourselves.
Les bénéfices sont nombreux et à des niveaux parfois tout à fait inattendus.
I actually started to read the literature, and what I read blew my mind.
Jouer est excellent pour le cerveau. Et plus le jeu présente de risques, mieux c'est. Au cours des 30 dernières années, jouer en extérieur est devenu de moins en moins fréquent en Amérique du Nord et en Europe. Aujourd'hui, les enfants du Royaume-Uni passent 2 fois moins de temps dehors que leurs parents au même âge. La technologie est devenue une camarade de jeu privilégiée. Cette tendance préoccupe de nombreux experts. Ayant observé le monde animal, ils savent que le jeu impliquant une activité physique tend à rendre l'être humain plus intelligent, plus courageux, voire plus gentil.
You ready, Cookie? You ready?
Stuart Brown est le doyen de la recherche sur le sujet. Il en défend les bénéfices depuis plus de 50 ans.
If you look at the overall place of play in the world of animal play, you begin to see that it is as present as sleep and dreams.
D'après lui, l'instinct du jeu représente un aspect important dans l'évolution animale. Un langage silencieux lui serait même inhérent.
When two dogs want to play, what you see is dog-dog play language. If it was aggressive and they were fighting, they'd have an entirely different body language. That's paw slap, which is typical play activity from a dog. Part of animal play, and part of the reason it is so compelling, is that it's pure and everybody gets it. Look at that, play bow. You know, it's instinctive. And we're wired the same way, you know, same part of our brain.
Brown a rassemblé une quantité irréfutable de preuves indiquant que le jeu profite bien plus à notre corps que l'exercice. Parce que le jeu fait aussi travailler l'esprit.
One of the things that keeps play going, that they know how to do instinctively, they will keep the play going without one dominating the other. And that is one of the essences of play. It's infectious. Here we got 4 of them now. Here we go.
Lorsque nos animaux domestiques jouent, nous savons le reconnaître. Mais finalement, qu'est-ce que le jeu ? Gordon Burkhardt a cherché à comprendre. Il étudie le comportement animal d'un point de vue évolutionniste.
I'm primarily a reptile ethologist, a reptile behavior person, and I've always liked snakes and lizards and turtles. And years ago, articles came out about play, and I thought, well, I never even saw anything I would consider play in a reptile.
Les scientifiques savent depuis longtemps que les mammifères et les oiseaux jouent. Mais reconnaître le jeu chez un animal qui bouge lentement peut s'avérer plus compliqué.
a dog wagging its tail, or monkeys or chimps responding to tickling and so on. That's sort of something we can easily identify. Hey, that seems to be playful, pleasurable, fun to the animal. It's hard to do that with a turtle. So we need more objective criteria. And I came up with 5 different groups. I might say 5 criteria of play.
Pour être qualifié de jeu, un comportement doit être adopté sans raison apparente. Il doit se produire de façon répétée, parfois même à l'excès. Il doit être spontané. Et l'animal ne doit pas se trouver en situation de stress. Burkhardt a proposé ces critères après avoir découvert que les reptiles étaient joueurs.
Hi, girl. Now she's going to go back and maybe grab something in my pocket. That's what they like to do.
Il a identifié des comportements de jeu chez les plus grands lézards au monde, les redoutables dragons de Komodo.
They can bring down a water buffalo. This is not something many people ever get to see. Hey. Well, sometimes play is confused with exploration. One of the ways of telling the difference is that exploration is you just checking out something. What you do with it is now play. Hey, here's the box. Hey, girl. Oh, there she goes. Reptiles operate at a little slower pace than we do, but she has all the important elements. This is behavior that is part of their normal repertoire. She'll do this over and over again. It's a behavior in an animal that we consider in a relaxed state. It's a behavior that's voluntary. Another confusion may be, well, maybe the animal is stupid enough it thinks it's food, and it's acting as if it's prey. That is clearly not the case either, because the animal doesn't try to eat the object. Hey, that was pretty good. Girl. Bye, girl.
Dans le sillage de Burkhardt, les scientifiques ont appris que toutes sortes d'animaux jouaient. Même les poissons aiment jouer à la balle quand l'occasion se présente. Les scientifiques n'en finissent plus d'être étonnés, pas seulement par la diversité des animaux qui jouent, mais aussi par l'identité de leurs camarades de jeu. La pieuvre géante du Pacifique. Généralement, c'est une solitaire. Il y a un an, une pieuvre de cette espèce est arrivée à l'aquarium de Seattle. Et elle s'y est fait une amie inattendue.
Just watching an octopus move is so graceful and so beautiful. You can spend so much time just sitting there and watching them and just being mesmerized by the way that they move and they interact with their environment. We're here to make sure their enclosures are clean, we take care of them, and so it's kind of the day-to-day cleaning and feeding.
Et un jour, une activité de routine a pris une tournure magique.
It began with the simple task of cleaning the windows. So we get water droplets on the top edge of our acrylic there, and we have to clean those off so that we can provide a good viewing experience for the public. And I was up there spraying it off with a freshwater hose. And the animals started to reach out of the water and kind of grab for the fresh water that was dripping down. And I was like, well, that's unusual. I've never seen that before. And so I actually just went ahead and sprayed the animal with the hose. And the animal completely went upside down and just started to come out of the water and kind of move around and hung around for a couple of minutes. I mean, there's a lot of animals that have no interest in humans whatsoever and actively swim away from you, but these animals come to us and interact with us.
À chaque fois que l'arrosage s'arrête, la pieuvre répond en créant son propre jet d'eau. Un nouveau jeu est né. Comment le jeu permet-il d'établir un lien entre un animal marin solitaire et un être humain, malgré le gouffre qui les sépare?
Type of questions that we really don't have answers to yet, and show that there is something in our deeply rooted nature that is able to communicate in some level with a whole range of life on this planet.
Depuis que des vidéos d'animaux sont postées au quotidien sur les réseaux sociaux, nous voyons beaucoup plus fréquemment des exemples de jeux entre espèces différentes. Et parfois, les camarades de jeu sont des plus surprenants. Lorsqu'on s'amuse, les frontières entre les espèces n'existent plus. Au parc zoologique Wilhelma à Stuttgart se trouve une communauté de primates connue pour son esprit joueur, celle des bonobos. Et ce ne sont pas seulement les jeunes qui aiment s'amuser. La primatologue italienne Elisabetta Palaggi s'est rendue dans ce zoo pour étudier cette espèce menacée.
Bonobos are our closest living relatives, and they can give us a lot of information about the evolution of our behavior.
Elle s'interroge sur le fait qu'ils ne soient pas seulement joueurs, ils sont aussi pacifiques. À l'inverse des autres primates, on n'a jamais vu un bonobo en tuer un autre.
When two different communities of chimpanzees meet together, they normally fight. Bonobos play. Play is pervasive in the bonobo society. It is a vehicle to explore the world. Play creates strong bonded, and if we share strong bonded with your group mates, you have much more chance to survive and to get the resource you need. It is important for the development of social skills in youngsters because they acquire social competence. If you want to live in a social group, it is important, it is crucial that you perceive the emotion of the other.
Buongiorno. Ciao.
L'équipe d'Elisabetta Palaggi cherche à savoir dans quelle mesure les bonobos sont capables de comprendre les sentiments de l'autre. Les scientifiques montrent aux bonobos une vidéo avec des avatars en train de bâiller. Bâiller après avoir vu quelqu'un le faire est un signe révélateur d'empathie. Les humains commencent à imiter ce comportement vers l'âge de 4 ans. C'est ce qu'on appelle la contagion émotionnelle.
If you are infected by mimicking a motor action performed by group mates, you can recreate the same emotion. So it is an emotional linkage between subjects. So in the yawning video, you can find avatar yawning a lot in different position, in front, in the lateral position, diagonal position, and animal respond. No.
Parfois, cela prend du temps. Mais les bonobos finissent par imiter le bâillement plusieurs fois au cours de l'étude. Est-ce leur capacité à lire les visages qui leur permet de si bien s'entendre?
It's difficult to understand if empathy is at the basis of play or play is at the basis of empathy, or the development of empathy. But we can say, and we have first data that suggests us that this behavior covariates.
Selon une théorie répandue, le jeu chez les jeunes animaux prépare à la vie adulte. Mais la science est en train de découvrir un autre bénéfice du jeu, son rôle dans le sentiment de compassion. Les scientifiques ont longtemps pensé que le jeu n'était rien de plus qu'une forme d'entraînement. Mais une étude récente démontre que les chatons qui s'amusent à chasser n'attrapent pas nécessairement plus de souris à l'âge adulte. Les oursons s'ébattent dans leur terrier avec leurs frères et sœurs, mais vivent généralement seuls quand ils sont grands. Les apparences sont visiblement trompeuses. Depuis la fin de ses études dans le Tennessee, aux États-Unis, Jonathan Pruitt s'intéresse à un type d'araignée bien particulier, l'araignée sociale.
I'm interested in social spiders because of these tiny little predators that no one knows anything about, really. At least normal people don't know that they're even a thing. They're spiders that work in concert to make giant webs together, capture prey together, and rear each other's offspring. And there are only about 20 species of social spider on Earth out of the maybe 50,000 species of spider that have been described so far. So there's sort of an evolutionary novelty item.
Pruitt et ses collègues observent plus particulièrement le jeu de séduction des araignées sociales.
Mature males will recruit to the webs of immature females who aren't mature yet, they can't mate, and these males will practice their little courtship dances for the female. But then the females respond to this courtship dance by approaching the male, assuming a posture of receptivity. The male just puts his genitals on the outside of the female's genitals and then just sits there. And over. There they are, just attempting this copulatory posture when they could be off spending their time doing other things like getting food or laying down more silk to protect them from predators. And so I thought, oh, it's sort of like they're gaining experience for later on in life that might be pertinent, like motor skills or social skills, social intelligence. And then later on, as I conducted more studies, I just became more and more comfortable with thinking, yeah, actually, this kind of behavior that we're seeing in a spider might just be play.
L'équipe de Pruitt a étudié des centaines d'araignées sociales pour comprendre ce comportement distinctif.
So I figured out the consequences of this behavior by manipulating these individuals' ability to engage in the behavior. I allowed some individuals to engage in almost sex in these little plastic cups, and then others that were prevented from ever having those experiences. And one of the interesting things that I found is that females that had had experience engaging in play sex early on in life produced heavier egg cases later on, and that effect scaled to how much experience they had. The more experience in play these females had, the larger their egg cases.
Non seulement les femelles joueuses ont plus de petits, mais elles vivent aussi plus longtemps et sont moins agressives. Elles sont moins susceptibles de tuer leur partenaire après l'accouplement, comportement pourtant répandu dans le monde fascinant des araignées.
When you start to consider weird sorts of behavior exhibited by lots of kinds of animals, you suddenly realize that things like play occur all over the animal kingdom, and that it might not be such a sophisticated thing that's endemic or unique to people or mammals, that it might be something that has very deep evolutionary roots.
À l'ouest du Canada, des chercheurs ont fait l'une des plus grandes découvertes sur l'utilité du jeu. Ils ont observé le comportement de jeunes rats domestiqués. Le neuroscientifique australien Serge Pellis nous explique ce que font ces animaux pendant que nous dormons.
They're chasing after one another. One animal tries to get up to the other one's top of the neck, and the other one will roll over to defend itself, and you see that they both take turns at doing this behavior.
Les chercheurs ont voulu savoir ce qu'il se passerait si les jeunes rats n'avaient pas de camarades de jeu.
In an alternative rearing condition, we have a juvenile growing up with an adult, and adult rats don't like playing with juveniles, so they will hang around together, they'll groom one another, they'll sleep next to one another, but they won't engage in rough and tumble play that the juveniles do.
Hi, honey. I know, I'm sorry.
Les rats privés de jeu ne développent pas d'aptitude sociale, notamment la faculté de jouer normalement avec l'autre. À la fin de l'expérience, le cerveau des rats privés de jeu est examiné. La zone du cerveau qui assure la prise de décision et le contrôle des pulsions est sous-développée.
So here was a set of experiments where we actually showed it is play changing the prefrontal cortex, and then all these changes we see in rats that are play deprived is because of this change in the prefrontal cortex.
Le cortex préfrontal n'est pas seul à être affecté, les neurones aussi. Ceux-ci sont désorganisés par rapport aux neurones normaux. Il s'agit de la plus grande découverte de la carrière de Serge Pellis, et ses conclusions l'inquiètent.
I grew up in a suburb in Melbourne, Australia, and about a mile straight down from my street was a river valley, lots of greenery, lots of slopes to tumble down, lots of places to hide, create games with your friends. It was fantastic. One of the shocking things that I found as soon as my wife and I came to Lethbridge is we saw the coulees, got a river valley, it looked fantastic. And the thing that shocked us both was, where are all the kids? My concern is that denying young children the opportunity to engage in play has led to them not getting the kinds of experiences that actually prepare them to be able to deal effectively in an unpredictable world as adults. There are several studies that track things like how frequent is depression in childhood, how frequent is psychopathology, and that's been going like this. So you have the play coming down like this, and all these mental health things going up like this.
À l'Université du Tennessee, des chercheurs poussent les travaux de Serge Pellis plus loin. Ils recherchent un lien entre le jeu et notre capacité à affronter les coups durs de la vie.
These are Syrian hamsters. They're about a month old. And at about a month old is their peak time of social play. And their social play is rough and tumble, mock aggression, where they will roll around, pin each other, and wrestle. Oh, look at them. And one way to initiate play is when an animal approaches and rolls over on its back, and they roll into a play fight. Here they go, there's a push. You can see that one animal initially ended it, ran away, and he came back and he attacked the other, and they switched roles. It really is play fighting. Play has several functions, but one is to allow for development of the prefrontal cortex. And so what we were interested in is their ability to cope with stress in adulthood, because we know the prefrontal cortex is important for stress coping.
Un adulte normal a été placé dans la cage d'un autre. Les adultes ne jouent pas à la bagarre. Ils se battent vraiment. Généralement, ces animaux vivent seuls, donc les combats peuvent être féroces.
The home-caged animal will defend its territory against the intruder and attack. So you can see they attack from the side, just like a play fight. But in adults, it's not playful. And they continue to try to seriously attack each other.
Le perdant subit ce qu'on appelle une défaite sociale. Un hamster normal saura la surmonter et sera prêt à combattre de nouveau lorsque cela se présentera.
There we go. That's social defeat. Okay, there you go. Okay.
Un hamster privé de jeu ayant perdu son combat se montre moins résistant. Au prochain duel, il présentera des signes de soumission.
And what we have here is a play-deprived animal in his home cage, and we put in a smaller, non-threatening animal into the cage, and we allow for social interaction. And the play-deprived animals respond with a great deal of anxiety and fear. They might go and sniff the other animal and then run away. And that's our index of social anxiety. And play-deprived animals show an exaggerated social anxiety after a trauma compared to the animals that had normal social play growing up. It's kind of like they're impulsive, and anything in their environment, they show an exaggerated impulsive response. In this case, it's social anxiety.
Que ce soit dans le monde animal ou dans une cour de récré, le jeu nous aide à nous préparer aux aléas de la vie. Mais la façon de jouer des enfants a complètement changé. Par le passé, il en fallait peu pour s'amuser. Et les jeux se déroulaient surtout à l'extérieur. Aux États-Unis, les enfants, aujourd'hui, passent moins de temps dehors que toutes les générations qui ont précédé. Seulement 4 à 7 minutes par jour de jeu en extérieur, contre 7h30 devant des écrans. Et ils y perdent bien plus qu'un bon bol d'air et un peu d'exercice physique. Stuart Brown a compris le rôle vital que représente le jeu bien avant que les scientifiques s'y intéressent de près.
Back then, play was considered trivial, an extravagance that kids didn't really have to have. And slowly, the science and the understanding of play behavior itself has burgeoned over the years. We've begun to see play as a whole very differently.
Brown a pris conscience des répercussions de la privation de jeu en enquêtant sur un homme responsable d'une tuerie de masse.
I was a young professor of psychiatry at the time. We had a really intensive investigation. As a part of that investigation, which included a 3-generational review of his family and personal history, we really came across the finding that he didn't play normally. And as a part of our final report, was the suppression of play and the absence of play meant he was unable to handle properly his violent emotions. So that's what launched me an interest in play, and then I did some formal research in the Texas prison system with homicidal individuals and compared their lives with the lives of matched people, and their play histories were vastly different.
Il a étudié les historiques de jeu de plus de 6000 personnes, ce qui l'a conforté dans son intuition. Le jeu est une affaire extrêmement sérieuse.
What you find is that it's necessary for a sense of optimism, fulfillment, for a sense of competency, for a sense of an authentic self. These are all components that play produces and many more for the well-being of individuals. I'm very concerned. We have a real crisis.
La privation de jeu n'est peut-être qu'une cause parmi d'autres. Pourtant, l'Organisation mondiale de la santé alerte sur le déclin de la santé mentale des jeunes. En Europe, un enfant sur 5 est confronté à des problèmes de développement, comportementaux ou émotionnels. Et 1 sur 8 souffre d'une maladie mentale.
You want that now? Well, too late. Get in the middle. All right, ready? 10, go.
La Canadienne Mariana Brussoni est une figure proéminente de la promotion du jeu d'extérieur.
Anna, did you pick that hard one again?
Elle a débuté sa carrière dans la recherche sur la prévention des blessures chez les enfants.
Oh, Matthias made it up again.
Mais elle s'est aperçue que les experts en prévention négligeaient un aspect crucial.
Part of it was having my own kids. I think that influences everybody to such a large extent. I actually started to read the literature as a developmental psychologist. What is the role of risk in children's lives? And what I read blew my mind. You had very different disciplines, all coming to the same conclusion, that engaging in risk was actually a very important aspect of preventing injuries.
Takes a lot of strength, doesn't it, guys?
If you think about kids taking risks and engaging in risky play, they're learning how their body works. They're learning what they're comfortable with. They're learning how the world works. They're learning very fundamental risk management skills.
Autrefois, il était fréquent que les enfants fassent des bêtises lorsqu'ils étaient sans surveillance. Ils inventaient des jeux à faire dresser les cheveux sur la tête de leurs parents. Puis, dans les années 1980, les enfants ont découvert les jeux vidéo. À peu près au même moment, les parents ont commencé à considérer le monde extérieur comme une menace. Jouer à l'intérieur semblait être une option plus sûre.
We have smartphones in our hands all the time, and we're getting bombarded by these catastrophic and cataclysmic events all the time. So you feel like risk is everywhere.
Okay.
One of the things that parents are most worried about is their child getting kidnapped by a stranger. The likelihood of getting kidnapped by a stranger is so low that stats aren't kept. And so we have a situation where parents and society has very wonky risk perceptions compared to what the data actually show.
Il y a 2 ans, Mariana Brussoni a lancé une étude nationale sur la façon dont le cadre de vie affecte la fréquence du jeu en extérieur.
This particular study deals with the built environment, right? So how can we include kids in the community, make sure that they're comfortable playing outside wherever it is that they want to go? And there's very specific things that we can do to design a community to make kids want to play outside and to make parents feel comfortable letting them play outside.
Niamh Kelly, une participante de 11 ans, est équipée d'une montre GPS et d'un accéléromètre.
What you see here is the data from Niamh's watch from one of the instances where she would have been playing outside. And the little point that's running around is her activity over that time span. So we've got her here. She's probably at home, and she's just leaving her house. And then she's going off to another bit of green space over here where she's hanging out. And she's exploring quite a bit of that area. She's actually covering a good chunk of her neighborhood and spending time in lots of different types of green space.
I think that I like to play more, and if you turn back the centuries, like, not centuries, the years, like 10, 20 years ago, I think I'd fit in more. But I've always liked playing outside. It's the best.
La liberté de jouer en extérieur libérerait également l'imagination.
There's a river just over there, and there's a fort, and we pretend like we're surviving in the wilderness, and we catch these salmon from the river, and we just pretend they're salmon, but they're actually pine cones.
We've seen a generational shift in our approach to what kids are allowed to do and how we parent them.
gotta be really, really, really careful.
And so that's where it becomes important to point out, okay, so these are the kinds of limitations that you are putting on your child in order to avoid them, you know, being out on their own.
I like playing in bushes, forests, trees, climbing. I love climbing.
Weigh it between a very, very, very unlikely event versus something that could fundamentally influence your child's health and development.
Les premières données récoltées par Mariana Brussoni démontrent que les enfants, et particulièrement les filles, jouent davantage à l'extérieur quand ils sont sans surveillance.
The fact that we found an activity where girls are more physically active is an incredibly important finding. And so what is it that we can do to promote girls getting outside, playing unsupervised, rather than seeing that level off once they hit early adolescence? And so all of this is suggesting that to be able to be independent and get out there and determine what they want to do is having important influences on this generation's feelings of self-competence, of resilience, of anxiety, of depression, you know, all of those really important markers of well-being.
Il faudra des années pour obtenir des données définitives. L'objectif de Mariana Brussoni est de développer ce qu'elle appelle l'indice de jouabilité, qui sera attribué à chaque quartier et qui leur permettra de s'adapter aux enfants.
A lot of people know about the walkability index, right? So how walkable is a community? And part of that involves, are there sidewalks? You know, is there pedestrian infrastructure? How fast does traffic move through there? And those sorts of things. Now, those are all important for kids too, but we have to think about play as well.
En parallèle, une prise de conscience de l'importance du jeu a déjà inspiré l'aménagement de l'une des plus grandes villes des États-Unis, Philadelphie, surnommée la ville de l'amour fraternel. La chercheuse américaine en psychologie, Kathy Hirsch-Pasek, estime que le jeu pourrait contribuer au fondement d'une société plus humaine.
When you play, you have to see what the other people want to do too. Should we build it longer? And as you divide up those roles, and you learn to give and take with one another, you're learning precisely the rules you need to learn to become part of a civil and democratic society in the future. So my biggest fear is that we're losing play environments, we're turning everything into digital solo, and that we need to bring real play back, play in nature, play in the environment, learning how to cope and learning how to deal with other humans.
En tant que spécialiste du développement de la petite enfance, elle a établi que le jeu était l'un des secrets de la réussite à l'école et dans la vie en général.
I always talk about play as a liberal arts education for young children. You know, you don't think about it, but you're studying sociology, and you're creating community, and you're learning physics, and you're understanding spatial and mathematics. Play is very, very important.
Avec ses collègues, elle cherche des moyens d'intégrer le jeu à l'espace public. Elle a commencé modestement avec un arrêt de bus dans un quartier défavorisé.
So we thought, maybe you could change an average bus stop into a playful learning environment. What if you could redesign hopscotch? So instead of normal hopscotch, it actually asked you to put down 2 feet where you see 1, and 1 where you see 2. Could that teach impulse control, flexibility, memory, and attention just by playing a new game?
Kathy Hirsch-Pasek milite pour que le jeu devienne un pilier de l'aménagement urbain.
What would that look like if architects could build buildings and build everyday environments so that they were imbued with playful learning? Well, we're actually trying that And it's happening around the world.
En Norvège, la population entretient un lien étroit avec la nature. Et pourtant, les jeux en extérieur sont aussi sur le déclin. Hélène Sandseter voudrait inverser la tendance. Elle collabore avec Mariana Brussoni au Canada.
Hello. Hello, how are you, Helen? I'm fine, how are you, Mariana? Good. I wanted to tell you about our project. And that we have now mapped all our childcare centers, both indoor and outdoor environments.
You've done all 80 children?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mariana Brussoni et Hélène Sandseter sont en train de réaménager les aires de jeu de 8 garderies, avec pour objectif de les rendre plus stimulantes.
Playgrounds here started to be changed. Everything was kind of shrunk in a way because they were supposed to be more safe.
Les nouveaux aménagements seront basés sur les recherches novatrices d'Hélène Sandseter. C'est elle qui a mis le doigt sur les caractéristiques de ce qu'on appelle le jeu risqué.
In preschools, we know that 1 in 10 experience an injury during a year. And some Norwegians even say that that's too little, that's too few injuries.
Hélène Sandseter est l'une des premières chercheuses à avoir interrogé les enfants sur leurs jeux favoris. Les enfants en bas âge, comme ceux de cette garderie de plein air, ont des préférences qui sont souvent ignorées.
Usually, if you ask people, where did you like to play or what did you play when you were young? Most of the time they mention being in the outdoors, close to nature.
Har du supersko? Ja, det deilig da.
So it's kind of interesting that a lot of parents don't let their own children do the same thing. We've had this kind of preschool for many, many years, but the last decade, it's been growing in number. And I think that's more kind of a reaction to a society where a lot of our life is, we're spending more time indoors, you know, all digital devices and TV and things like that. Play is the most important thing for children. Playing is children's most important way of being, of communicating, and also social skills, being together with other children, problem solving. Play is where they learn. What makes risky play different from other kinds of play is that it is a chance for getting injured. That is probably the thing that we are afraid of too. It includes uncertainty, maybe something that you are a little bit scared about doing, but still it's testing out their environment and themselves. We can look at risky play as a way to habituate your fear. So true play, where children naturally engage in climbing and engaging, testing their ability to manage heights, they are actually learning how to handle it. Then it's nothing to fear anymore, and then you are not as afraid.
D'après les recherches d'Hélène Sandseter, les jeux risqués aideraient à prévenir les phobies.
We see that it's the ones that never got the chance to experience climbing. Those are the ones that are more represented in the population with a phobia for heights. When I started doing this research, I read a lot about risky play, and it was always from the adult's perspective. And I wanted to talk to the children. It's really something that they are experts in.
Ikke litt høyt oppi der, da? Hæ? Ikke det? Jo, men det er jo ganske langt opp, og så er det jo ganske bratt, da. Men vi klarer det selv. Klarer dere det helt selv? Ja, det er helt selv!
The striking thing was that all of them talked about bodily feelings. They usually said it tickles in my tummy, my heart goes like boing, 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 and all of it was very positive, but still they talked about the fear being there or the anxiety being there because they did something that was scary. Their word of it in Norwegian was skummelt artig, and directly translated to English, that is scary funny.
La chercheuse norvégienne appartient à un réseau grandissant d'experts qui militent pour le droit de chaque enfant à expérimenter les jeux risqués.
I'm very happy for having parents that allowed me to explore and to climb trees and to jump down from heights and to build things and crawl under things and all those things that children want to do.
Mais le temps est compté. De nombreux enfants grandissent aujourd'hui avec des parents qui ont peu de souvenirs de jeux en extérieur.
If they don't have that frame of reference, it's much harder for them to realize what's missing. Because this started in the late 80s, those people are now parents. And we could have a collective intergenerational kind of memory fog that wipes out that idea as kind of a normal part of childhood.
Traditionally, kids were let free, particularly elementary school age kids, whereas now there isn't that sense of freedom, and I think with that there's a huge loss.
Favoriser les jeux en extérieur nous reconnecterait à un aspect essentiel de notre nature animale. C'est aussi la promesse d'en retrouver les bénéfices émotionnels qui sont en train de nous échapper.
We have an industrial revolution background where productivity and being honored and loved for your personal productivity is more important than your happiness or your fulfillment. So I think we've got an uphill fight to get play into the consciousness of the culture.
When I'm engaging in play, or I watch children engaging in play, or I watch a kitten engaging in play, I think to myself, you know, this is not just fluff. This is something that this animal has evolved to do, that serves some purpose that is a rather significant component of this thing's life.
When you protect children from every possible danger, they're not going to be very resilient or very able to cope. Just like animals have to be prepared to deal with uncertainties, so do people.
All mammals have basically the same brain structure. We've now made the connection that lack of peer play translates into a not normally developed prefrontal cortex. So now, all of a sudden, you look at the kid scenario and you go, well, if it's true on rats, maybe those correlations in children are in fact causal. And my concern has always been, is this a good thing to prevent young children from freely choosing to engage in whatever kind of play they want with their peers.
Play is more important now than it has ever been. In a world where information is doubling every 2.5 years, we need critical thinkers, we need creative innovators, and we need children who have the confidence to learn from failure and to persevere so that they create new things. And I think play, the sandbox, incorporates all of these.
The most important thing we can do is just get out of the way and let them play. Let them play how they choose, provide an environment they feel comfortable playing with, and then just get out of the way. And let them figure it out for themselves. They'll amaze you.